وبعد. Inshallah, to continue where we left off, we mentioned some of the, we were talking about some of the aids in helping us to seek knowledge. And inshallah, to continue on that, I thought it would be good to demonstrate or to tell you all about some of the stories of those who sought knowledge before us. And there are many, inshallah, but to inspire us. And the best or one of the greatest stories of talab al-ilm or seeking knowledge is the story of, anybody know? Musa alayhi salam. That's one of the greatest stories of talab al-ilm, seeking knowledge. And this was illustrating the point that we mentioned earlier, that you have to have humbleness in seeking knowledge. Musa is the Rasulullah, one of the greatest of the prophets, Ulil Azm, of the 5 prophets, right? And yet when he said he had, when he was asked, he was sitting in a lesson amongst the children of Israel teaching them, and one of them asked him who was the most knowledgeable person, and he thought, being he is the Rasul, the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Nabi, that he was the most knowledgeable, so he said, I am. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala corrected him and said, no, there's a person named Al-Hijrah in such and such place where the 2 seas meet that is more knowledgeable, that has more knowledge, in a sense. And so Musa alayhi salam, he went and he sought this person out to seek knowledge. So it's showing the humbleness of Musa alayhi salam, and even though he's a prophet of Allah and a messenger of Allah, he went on his path to seek knowledge. And he said to his traveling companion, some say that's Yusha ibn Nur, وإذ قال موسى لفتاه لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا. Musa said to the boy, I will go on this journey until I've reached the 2 seas, even if I have to spend like a long time and struggle. So even like some scholars translate that as years. That Musa alayhi salam said he would travel years just to meet that teacher, to get the knowledge. And in this journey, you can go back and read it in Surah Al-Kahf for the more details. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a sign to where he would find this teacher. But we read in the Quran also, we mentioned earlier, remember in the aids of seeking knowledge, even though everybody's eating, alhamdulillah, we said al-ju' or having some hunger, right? So Musa, he was going on his journey and traveling and tired, and until the point that he was very hungry, and he asked the traveling companion, the servant boy, that he can stop and have some food and some rest. So it's showing in talab al-ilm how you strive and how you sacrifice to get the knowledge. Also, he illustrates the point in the mukhatara, we said, that he takes chances, because when he met Al-Hijrah, we'll go through the story inshallah, so little by little. فلما بلغ مجمع بينهما نسي حوتهما فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا فلما جاوز قال لفتاه آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا. So this is when he asked for the meal, because he said that we were very tired from our journey and seeking knowledge. قال أريت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان وأن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا. So the boy said, did you see when we took shelter at the rock, I forgot the fish, and none but the shaitan, the Satan, made me forget it, and it made its way into the sea in an amazing manner. And this is the sign that Musa was looking for anyway, to find Khidr. قال ذلك ما كنا نبغ فالتدى على آثارهما قصصا. He said, this is what we were looking for. So they returned, retracing their footsteps. All this travel for the fi sabilillah, to seek knowledge. فوجد عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما. So they found one of our servants, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's servant, that we have given mercy, Allah has given mercy to, and taught him from his own knowledge. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught this person, Khidr, the knowledge. قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. Musa said to him, can I follow you and you could teach me some of the things that you were taught? So this is a lesson in humbleness as well. Musa, he didn't say, teach me what you know. He said, can I follow you so that you can teach me? And he's asking him, can you teach me? From some of what you know. He didn't say, teach me everything you know. This is the adab of the talib. Right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us in His messenger, Musa alayhi salam. قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. Al-Hijrah said that you won't have patience with me. This is the other thing we mentioned in Talab al-Ilm, that you have to have sabr and patience when you're seeking knowledge. Even though things might be hard, that's the shaitan trying to distract you from the path. You have to continue and be patient, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you tawfiq. وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبَرًا. And how will you have patience upon that which you know not of? قَالَ سَتَجِدْنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ صَابِرًا وَلَا أَعْصِي لَكَ أَمْرًا. Musa said that I will be patient and I won't disobey you in any matter. Then Khidr told him, if you follow me, basically, you have to have, don't ask me anything until I mention it to you. قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرى. فانطلق حتى إذا ركب في سفينة خرقها. So they went and they got into a boat that Khidr had made a hole in it so it would sink, right? We mentioned also earlier about some of the aids in seeking knowledge, that you have to take chances. So Musa is taking a great chance. He's going into a boat that he knows is going to sink in the middle of the ocean, right? But for fi sabil talab al-ilm, in the path of seeking knowledge, he's taking this risk so he can get some knowledge from this man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him has some great knowledge. So he goes on, and you know the story, inshallah you can go back and get the more details, but basically after the three instances, the Khidr said, هذا فراق بيني وبينك. This is the departure between me and you, because he wasn't patient, so he didn't get all of the knowledge that we were hoped. That even the Prophet Muhammad said, I wish Musa could have stayed longer so we could have learned more. This is our Prophet Muhammad also encouraging us on the importance of seeking knowledge, right? But because he didn't have the patience, because he's seeing things, Musa alayhi was being tested. He's seeing things that he knows apparently are wrong, But Khidr told him in the beginning, you're not going to be able to take it. Basically be patient. You're not going to have the patience to deal with this, because Musa is known in ordering the good and forbidding the evil. So when he sees something that's conflicting or appears to be conflicting with what he's taught or what he knows, he's obviously going to be upset and he's going to ask questions. So the point of the story is that Musa, being one of the great messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, humbled himself and went on his journey to seek knowledge. And he said he would do it even if he had to travel years, right? And this is from the greatest of the prophets. So about us, how about us? Also, in seeking knowledge, it doesn't matter like what background you come from. Knowledge is like a level playing ground. There's a story of Yaqub, a young boy. Many might know him by a different name, but when he was young, he was known by that name. And he was a poor, very poor boy. His parents would send him to a tailor to learn the apprenticeship of sewing, so he can have like a stipend from the tailor and make some money on the side for his family. Some scholars say he was an orphan, some say he wasn't, but all are in agreement that he was from a very poor family. And so he would go every day to this apprenticeship, to this tailor, to learn the skill and make a little bit of money to give to his family so they can get by. But as he's going, he noticed there's like a lecture and a lot of people around this sheikh, Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. So the boy would sit and stop and listen. And sometimes he would get so enthralled in the dars that he forgot about his work. And then the tailor would come complaining to his parents and say, your boy missed work again. And so after some time, the parents got upset and they went to Abu Hanifa and said, look, we're a poor family and our son is, helping us with this little stipend that he gets, every week from his tailor and learning the skill also so he can become a tailor. But your lessons are distracting him. Can you please tell the boy to stop going to your class and go, work like he's supposed to? And Abu Hanifa said, leave him seek the knowledge. لَعَلَّهُ يَأْكُلُ مِنَ الْفُسْتَقِ. Let him attain the knowledge because maybe one day he'll eat from this pistachio. Pistachio, I guess not just the pistachio itself, but they probably made some very nice dish that only the rich people at that time could eat, right? And she was like, yeah, right, whatever. We don't even have money to buy food for ourselves. He's gonna eat from this like very extravagant dish. And Abu Hanifa said, whatever it is, what's the stipend? I'll pay double or whatever it was. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah was very generous. He paid even more than whatever the stipend was, so the student Yusuf can come and sit with his tullab in the lecture. So long story short, he became one of his best students until he became known as Qadi al-Qudah. So all of you know him as Abu Yusuf, al-Qadi Abu Yusuf. one of the first persons to ever have that title, Qadi al-Qudat, the judge of all the judges in the Islamic empire. And he was the Mustashar of Harun al-Rashid, the Khalifa of the Ummah that expanded from Spain all the way to China, right? He was the head judge of all these people. This poor little boy, some say orphan boy or a very poor boy, no background, too much in knowledge, no wealth, and he became one of the greatest scholars of the Ummah, to the point the Khalifa would ask him for fatwas and to clarify questions, and he was the head judge. And they say in a story that one day they were in a gathering, and he had been passed this sweet, and he ate from it, and he asked the Khalifa, "What is the sweet?" And he said, "It's the fustuq." And he remembered Abu Hanifa saying way back when he was a little boy that one day you might eat from this, and he remembered how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised him in rank, and he tears came to his eye. يَرْفَعَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمِ دَرَجَاتٍ. Allah will raise those who have knowledge in levels. In another extreme, Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, he was raised as like a prince, basically, in extreme richness and extravagance, and they say that most of his teachers were like women at the time. His father had many servant girls and stuff like that, and they taught him, but they taught him well. They taught him poetry and Arabic and stuff like that, but he wasn't too much, they say at the time, in one narration, like too knowledgeable in the deen sense. So one day the story goes he went to the mosque, and I think he was going for a funeral prayer or something, but before the funeral prayer he sat down waiting for the prayer, and then a guy comes and hits him on the shoulder and says, "Get up and pray 2 rak'ahs. When you go in the masjid, you're supposed to pray 2 rak'ahs." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and he got up and he prayed 2 rak'ahs. And then I forget exactly why, but the other day he came back to the masjid, and he said, "I know now I have to pray 2 rak'ahs," so he prayed 2 rak'ahs. And then a guy came and hit him and said, "You don't pray 2 rak'ahs. It's Asr. After Asr time, you can't pray 2 rak'ahs." And he got really upset and confused. And he's like, "These ignorant people are telling me about my deen," And he went back and studied, and he became one of the greatest scholars of Islam. So these two extremes, you have one from a very poor background and one from a very rich background, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them both honor and kirama because of the knowledge. And to this day we know about both of them, and their works are with us. Also, it doesn't matter how old you are. Imam al-Kasa'i, he is one of the qira'at of the Quran that we recite. From the 7 qira'at, he is one of the imams that have a whole qira'at after him, right? And he started very late in age, yet he became the most proficient person of the Quran at his time, and we have a whole narration of the Quran through his riwayah, right? So being older didn't stop him either. Also, it doesn't matter if you had a previous lifetime of falling short of Islam, for example, or falling into sin. There's a famous story about Malik ibn Dinar, who was one of the great scholars of Islam, that he wasn't, religious. In fact, they say, in one of the narrations, that he was the opposite. He was a guard, and he was very shadid, ghilal, kind of mean and cruel, and did stuff he, should not have been doing in terms of drinking or other stuff like that. So anyway, the story goes one day he got a servant girl, and he had a daughter from her, and this daughter became like his beloved, in terms that it changed his heart, he changed his ways, he left all that bad stuff, he started being softer in the heart, and every day from leaving work, that was his happiness to come home and see his daughter, right? And he started becoming better, alhamdulillah. And they say that the daughter, one day, he came home and she had passed away. He came and asked for her, and the mother, told him the bad news, and he was so upset that he fell into a stupor. He went back to his bad ways and did stuff astaghfirullah till he fell into a stupor. And they say that when he was knocked out, he had a dream of a snake chasing him, right? And he was running and running, and he saw a mountain with children on it, and he was running towards that mountain. Then he saw his daughter, and he went to his daughter, and he was so happy. And she said, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Isn't it time for the people who believe that their hearts should humble with the remembrance of Allah? And he woke up and he made tawbah. And he went and started studying the deen till he became one of the greatest scholars of Islam. So don't let anything hold you back from seeking knowledge in the deen. Make the time and make the effort and have the sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you want to learn this deen so that you can lift the ignorance from yourself and you can worship Him correctly and you can teach others the goodness of this deen. That's the first part we finished in terms of the cure of ignorance is knowledge. And I was going to start another part. Maybe we can just start it briefly because we're supposed to go and help another brother, inshallah. Anyway, I'll try. We'll start the next chapter and see where we go. So this chapter, Al-Qur'anu Shifa. The Qur'an is a healing. وقد أخبر سبحانه عن القرآن أنه شفاء فقال تعالى ولو جعلناه قرآنا عجميا لقالوا لولا فصلت آياته أعجمي وعربي قل هو للذين آمنوا هدى وشفاء. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if we had made this Qur'an into a foreign language, they would say, wouldn't you have made it clear, make the ayat, the verses clear, a foreign language or Arabic? And Allah says, say this is for those who believe, huda and shifa, a guidance and a healing. Allah is calling the Qur'an. ومن هنا لبيان الجنس لا للتبعيد فإن القرآن كله شفاء كما قال في الآية المتقدمة فهو شفاء للقلوب من داء الجهل والشك والريب فلم ينزل الله سبحانه وتعالى من السماء شفاء قط أعم ولا أنفع ولا أعظم ولا أنجع في إزالة داء من القرآن. And so he went into a little technical point in the Arabic language saying how that Allah says, وَنَزْلَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ, we have revealed some of the Qur'an as a shifa. But min here is like just basically saying, it's just a grammatical point that not just part of the Qur'an, but the whole Qur'an is shifa. Every part of the Qur'an is shifa and a guidance. Right? This is what the Imam is explaining. And he said there's no greater guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down from the heavens that is more beneficial and greater and more complete in taking away the sickness than the Qur'an. وقد ثبت في الصحيحين من حديث أبي سعيد قال انطلق نفر من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في سافروها حتى نزلوا على حي من أحياء العرب فاستضافوهم فأبوا أن يضيفوهم فلدغ سيد ذلك الحي فسعوا له بكل شيء لا ينفعه شيء فقال بعضهم لو أتيتم هؤلاء الرحد الذين نزلوا لعله أن يكون عند بعضهم شيء فأتوهم فقالوا يا أيها الرحد إن سيدنا لدغ وسعينا له بكل شيء لا ينفعه شيء فهل عند أحدكم أو أحد منكم من شيء فقال بعضهم والله إني لأرقي ولكن والله لقد استضفناكم فلم تضيفونا فما أنا براق لكم حتى تجعلوا لي جعلا فصالحوهم على قطعه من الغنم فانطلق يتنفل أو يتفل عليه ويقرأ الحمد لله رب العالمين فكأنما نشط من العقال فانطلق بيمشي وما به قلبة فأوفوهم جعلهم الذي صالحوهم عليه فقال بعضهم اقتسموا فقال الذي رق لا نفعل حتى نأتي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فتذكر له الذي كان فننتظر ما يأمرنا قدموا على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكر له ذلك فقال وما يدريكم أنها رقية ثم قال قد أصبتم اقتسموا واضربوا لي معكم سهما. So to summarize the story, some of the Sahaba, they were on a travel and they went to like a neighborhood of the Arabs and they asked them if they would take them in as guests, because that's the way of the Arabs in general. And they refused, which is a very big disgrace at the time. So the Sahaba just went on it, trying to find another place. And then they had the leader of their tribe. He was stung by a scorpion, and he asked for everything in the tribe that they tried everything, but there was no cure for his pain. So they said, why don't we go ask these people? Maybe they know something that can help heal our leader. So they ran after them and said, we have our leader. He was stung by a scorpion. and he's very sick. Do you have something that can cure him? And they said, we can do the ruqya basically, but I'm not going to do it unless you give us something. Because we came there as guests and you refused us to give us our right as a guest, so you got to pay me something if I'm going to do this service for you. So they said, okay, we'll give you some sheep or whatever if you can heal him. So they went back and they read Surah Al-Fatiha on him, and he was healed like nothing had happened to him before, right? And they said, give us our money. So they took their recompensation from them, or their compensation from them, and they went back. They said, let's split this up amongst each other. And they said, no, not until we ask the Prophet ﷺ if it's okay. And then they went to the Prophet and they asked, and he said, asabtum, basically you achieved the right answer. You did the good thing. You did it right, and split it with me. So the shares that they got, because the Prophet ﷺ, he taught them in the beginning. But more importantly, like the Prophet ﷺ didn't need any money, obviously, but when he does something, he does it for the sake of legislation, right? So this is to teach us that it's okay to take compensation for ruqya, or even some scholars say for teaching the Quran, right? That's why the Prophet ﷺ does certain things sometimes, not because he needs it or he wants it, but just to show the ummah that it's allowable, right? So in this ayah, or in this hadith, they're showing how the Quran is a shifa, how it literally healed this person reciting it. فقد آثر هذا الدواء في هذا الداء وأزاله حتى كأنه لم يكن وهو أسهل دواء وأيسره ولو أحسن العبد التداوي بالفاتحة لرأى لها تأثيرا عجيبا في الشفاء. And he said, so this medicine had an effect upon the sickness, and it took away his sickness as if there was no sickness before. And this is one of the easiest medicines a person can use. And if a servant really knew how to heal himself or heal people with the Quran, with the Fatiha, they would see that it has an incredible effect in healing. And then he goes on to say, وَمَكَثْتُ بِمَكَّةِ مُدَّةً يَعْتَرِنِي أَدْوَاء وَلَا أَجِدُ طَبِيبًا وَلَا دَوَاءً فكنت أعالج نفسي بالفاتحة فأرى لها تأثيرا عجيبا فكنت أصف ذلك لمن يشتكي ألما فكان كثير منهم يبرأ سريعا. So he said, I was in Mecca for some time, staying there, and I would, he got sick basically with a bunch of different things. Ibn Qayyim is talking about himself. So he said he cured himself with the Fatiha, and he found it like incredible, mashallah, cure. And also other people had some ailments, and he read upon them the Fatiha and cured them as well. So this is the shifa of the Quran, right? It has a shifa for the spiritual and even for the physical, if you knew how to use it. And we'll get into that in the next session, inshallah, because it goes into explaining, how the effect of the Quran is upon different people, and like how much iman you have to have, in order for it to be effective, etc. But I just thought it might be nice to talk about some of the benefits of the Quran, inshallah, and inshallah, like I also, just to make a point, the brilliance of this Imam, after he starts off saying that the cure of ignorance is asking the question, right? And then we went into the details about seeking knowledge and how to seek knowledge and the benefits of knowledge. And then he starts the first thing after that, Al-Quran wa Shifa. Like he's kind of indicating in a sense that the best form of knowledge you can start with or take is the Quran. It's the literal words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's not like any other book or compilation. Like if you look any books of law that's out there, any other normal books, there's no comparison. The Quran is unique in its way that it's ordered, in its compilation, and the way the message is sent to us. Any other legal book, if you read it, you get bored with it. But the Quran, it's like you never get bored with it. The more you read it, the more you understand it, the more you want to learn more, and the more you want to read it more. It's a guide for us to good, and it keeps us away from evil. As Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, when you hear Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, listen closely, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to either give you some good that He will guide you to, or some evil that you can stay away from. Also, every single thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to do in the Quran, or to stay away from, or forbids us from, is for our own benefit, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't need anything from us, and we need everything from Him. When we say Allah Azza wa Jal is Al-Alim Al-Hakim in many ayat, right? Al-Alim, He knows everything. يعلم ما كان وما كائن وما سيكون وما لم يكن لو كان كيف يكون. He knows everything that was, and everything that is, and everything that will be, and everything that wasn't, if it was, how it will be. Al-Alim. And then Al-Hakim, He knows how to put everything in its proper place. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He legislates something for us in the Quran, He knows it's best for us. If He prohibits something, He knows it's evil for us. He is Al-Alim Al-Hakim. And most importantly, these are His words. These are the words of your Creator. His literal words, speaking to you. Many people wish that Allah can talk to me, or God can talk to me. Allah is talking to us in the Quran. Those are His words. If you would only ponder upon them and read. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Won't they ponder upon the Quran? أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَقْفَالُهَا. Or are their hearts sealed? If you have a problem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the answers in the Quran. Right? If you're feeling down, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will lift you up with the Quran. If you're feeling alone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you company with the Quran. Like I was in not many, but some situations, subhanAllah, in need of some companionship, so to say, like completely alone, alhamdulillah. But I had the Quran and I didn't feel it at all, alhamdulillah. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for me. So we should try and always strive to make the Quran our companion and make it close to our hearts, to ponder the words of our Lord. We always hear in the Quran, or in the Khutbat al-Hajah, the Imam in Salat al-Jum'ah, when the Imam starts, he says what? Khairul kalam, kalam Allah. The best of speech is the book of Allah, or the words of Allah. Right? In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فضل كلام الله على غيره كفضل الله على خلقه. That the benefit of the Quran over other speech is like the benefit of Allah Azza wa Jal over His creation. This is the book of Allah, the greatest book on earth, and it's between our hands, and how many of us take advantage of it? Some of the fadail of the Quran, there are many, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the fadail of the Quran in the Quran itself, mentioning the great rewards of it, and how it is in the people of those who fear Him in their hearts, and how the pious react to the Quran when they hear it, right? And the Prophet ﷺ, there's many ahadith about it. For example, Ahlul Qur'ani, Ahlullahi wa khasatihi. The people of the Quran are the people of Allah and His chosen ones. The more Quran you have, the more you are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you are from, they say, like the family of Allah, or the close ones to Allah. اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. Read the Quran, for it will come as an intercessor for you on the day of judgment. All these are ahadith from the Prophet ﷺ. يقال لصاحب القرآن اقرأ وارتقي ورتل كما كنت ترتل في الدنيا فإن منزلك عند آخر آية تقرأها. Read, like it would say to the person of the Quran, read and recite and raise up in ranks as you used to recite in the dunya, for you will reach the level in where you stop reading. So the more Quran you memorize, the higher level you will be in the hereafter. Another narration: ما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه فيما بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. A people don't gather together into one of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala studying the book of Allah between them, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put down upon them peacefulness and cover them with His mercy. and the angels will surround them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remember them to those around Allah. What greater honor than that? Having sakina and rahmah and malaika and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remembering you. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من قرأ حرفا من كتاب الله فله به حسنة والحسنة بعشر أمثالها لا أقول ألف لام ميم حرف ولكن ألف حرف ولام حرف وميم حرف. That the Prophet ﷺ said, every letter of the Quran is a blessing. Every letter you read from the Quran is a blessing. And every blessing is 10 rewards. And I don't say that alif, lam, mim is one thing, but alif is a reward, and lam is a reward, and mim is a reward. 10, 10, 10. 30 hasana just to say alif, lam, mim. Imagine saying, when you say Bismillah, 70 hasana, 70 rewards. Imagine reading a whole page of the Quran. Imagine reading a juz of the Quran. Imagine reading the whole Quran. How many hasana and blessings you get. Right? And the more you read it and you understand it, the more you benefit from it and the more blessings you get. So not just to read it like any other book, but to read it with tadabbur and understanding and knowing that it's a form of ibadah, a form of worship. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ مِنْ إِجْلَالِ اللَّهِ إِكْرَامِ ذِي شَيْبَةِ الْمُسْلِمِ وحامل القرآن غير غال فيه والجافي عنه وإكرام ذي سلطان المقسط. That from إجلال الله, respecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to respect the elderly people in Islam, the one who got gray in Islam, and the Hamalat al-Quran, and the one who has memorized the Quran, and who is not like showing off or negligent of the Quran's rules and regulations. From Ijlalillahi, honoring Allah is honoring these type of people, and the just ruler as well. And I can keep going on and on, but for time's sake, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, they said that the person of the Quran will come on the day of judgment and have a crown of honor placed upon his head for memorizing the Quran. And some narrations say that his parents will have the crown placed upon their heads because of the honor of their child memorizing the whole Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا وَيُضِيعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will lift up people with this book, with the Quran, and He will put down others. So it's a way to being raised in ranks, and it's also a way to be disgraced if a person turns away from it.
Have the scholars ever reached like a point of saturation when it comes to reading the Quran? Like they felt like they understood it wholly at some point in their lives?
Allahu Alam, sister asked if any scholar gets satiated with thinking that they understand everything in the Quran, or they've reached a high enough level. And to my knowledge, no scholar will ever say that, because there's always something new you can learn from the Quran. It's a miracle. That's one of the miracles too of the Quran. Like if you look at all the different tafsir, you always find something new. There's been hundreds, maybe thousands, tens of thousands maybe of tafsir, explanations of the Quran, and they're all very unique. Always they're coming up with something new, subhanAllah. So that's the miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent. That's why it's the final revelation that's to us. So we never become satiated. And then the more you get used to reciting it and understanding it and studying it, the easier it becomes for you and the more you learn. Right? So like I said earlier, sometimes shaitan will come and try to make the path to knowledge difficult for you, make you get bored for it, make you get tired of it. But no, always be continuous. Keep striving to learn this book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't give up. And like the Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالُ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلْ. The best or most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are done continuously, even if they're little. So be continuous is more important than doing a lot. Like some people might come and try to read the whole Quran in a couple of days, and they haven't even been used to reading one juz a day, for example. That's too much. So you should be building yourself up little by little, inshallah. Take the time, have patience and understanding, and build yourself slowly but surely. Like the Prophet ﷺ said about the man trying to cross the desert with the camel too quickly, that no desert did he cross, and then he didn't even leave his animal because the animal died from being pushed too hard to its limits. So the same thing, you want to take it step by step and build your knowledge, and every day or every week or every month increase little by little, inshallah it becomes easier and easier for you. You know, like I know people personally that finish the Quran in 2 rak'ats. Like my roommate in Medina, mashallah, he's from Nigeria. He memorized the whole Quran when he was a little kid. So, like, I guess they had some type of competition with each other from Nigeria, like who can read more. So him and his friend, like, you know, after Salat al-Isha, went and prayed in the Masjid al-Nabawi in the Prophet's mosque until almost Fajr. They just recite the whole Quran. I was like, mashallah. I mean, I don't know if that's the point, but alhamdulillah, I mean, this person can do that. You know, because I read many stories of the Salaf, how some of them used to do khatm of the Quran like every day or every couple of days and stuff like that, and I wondered about it, and then subhanAllah I saw it, like, for real. This is a very good brother. I know he was telling me the truth, alhamdulillah. He's not trying to show off anything, but I was his roommate, and I was like, mashallah, you kind of late today, brother. And he told me what happened, and mashallah, so it's possible. And it's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts barakah in your time, in your efforts. The more you get closer to Him, right, the more you're able to read and the more you're able to understand, you know. And the Sahaba in general, a lot of them would complete the Quran on a weekly basis, and they divided the Quran into 7 parts. So each day they would read one of those parts. The easy way to remember is like the first 3 big surahs, then the next 5, the next 7, the next 9, and 11. How many did I get now? 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and then Qaf until the end. So that's how they divided the Quran for them. So that's a good way, inshallah, to reach it. But like I said, start with 1 juz a day or even less, whatever you can, but be consistent in it and build slowly but surely, inshallah.
I have a question.
طيب, let's, inshallah, we'll wrap it up. MashaAllah, I have like pages and pages of just a hadith about the fadl of the Quran and its blessings. Inshallah, anybody can go and look them up online. But another main point to remember is, like I said earlier, القرآن حجة لك أو عليك. That the Quran is a witness for you or against you, right? So the more you read and understand the Quran, the more responsibility you have. You know, it'll be a witness for you or against you. If you know the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you intentionally break it, it'll be a witness against you. But if you know the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you follow it and you implement it and you call others to it, it'll be a witness for you. Right? And just a reminder for myself and the brothers, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah allow us to live to make it, but Ramadan is coming very close, and that's Shahr al-Quran. Right? So it's a very good time to take advantage of getting closer to Allah and being a companion of His book, of the Quran. Some of the scholars, they say that, you know, Rajab is a time of planting the seed, and Shawwal is a time for watering it, and Ramadan is a time to reap the rewards, or the benefits, or the fruits. So from now, this is the last day of Rajab, which means there's only 1 month left to Ramadan. You know, start from now to make your niyyah to get yourself prepared for this beautiful month. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they used to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, for 6 months of the year that they would reach Ramadan, and then after Ramadan they would make the rest of the year they would make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from them Ramadan. You know, it's a special time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for us to get closer to Him, to abstain. It's teaching us a lesson. You know, if we abstain from these things that are halal for us, then we should be able to abstain from those things that are haram. Right? Ayyam and ma'dudat. It goes by so quickly. We always remember how we start Ramadan, the first night of Tarweeh, and then subhanAllah, just so quickly, like a blink of an eye, we're in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and then it's over. Right? So start preparing from now, getting into that zone, that spiritual zone, to allow us to make this month and reap its rewards. You know, do some extra fasting if you can this month to get your body used to it again. Start making the Quran schedule for yourselves that you read each day, and then try to increase it when you get to Ramadan, inshallah. And try to, if you have bad habits, try to stay away from those bad habits. If you have some character flaws, try to work on those. Put yourself some goals. Now that I want to work on this until Ramadan, and this is what I want to achieve in Ramadan. Right? So we say, رشاه رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيُصُمْ. So Shahr Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, is when the Quran was revealed as a guidance for the people, and Al-Furqan, which is a criterion to distinguish between right and wrong. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. We revealed this book in Laylatul Qadr. So this is the month of the Quran, and it's a very beneficial time for us to get closer to Allah and closer to His book. So I just wanted to give brief advice for myself and my brothers and sisters, inshallah, to, now that we're talking about the Quran and the shifa of the Quran, to make the Quran part of our lives and get closer to Allah, and even more so in the month of Ramadan, and carry forward after that, inshallah. So we'll pause here, and if there's any questions, أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا الغفور الرحيم. Inshallah, we can open the door for the brother. You had a question?
Yeah. So since we're talking about seeking knowledge, how is it? I mean, in your advice, how is it? Like, how can we protect ourselves from corrupted knowledge? Because you have scholarship. And a beautiful example would be, say, for instance, if you were to search, Imam Ali rahimahullah on YouTube, if you were to search, the biography of Aisha on Google, for instance, you will find a lot of people who speak of them very, very detailed, but oftentimes what happens is it's corrupted information about them. Right? There was this. My sister, she sent me a YouTube link of this man who was describing Aisha to be someone that she wasn't, and he was actually utilizing verses from Surah Al-Tahrim to speak against her in that regard. And it's not just that they're not in tune with the Sunnah of the Prophet, but many of them claim to be upon the Sunnah, but in reality they're not. So how can we protect ourselves from being exposed to these type of people, or being exposed to this type of informational material?
So, if everybody here, the brother's asking in summary, how can you protect yourself from corrupted knowledge or incorrect knowledge? And the best way, of course, is taking from the authentic sources and being familiar with the authentic sources of the Quran and the Sahih Sunnah, and asking those of knowledge that you trust, that are known to be from the Quran and Sunnah, and to call to the righteous ways. Right? There are certain people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a light to, and they're known in the community of which way they follow, to ask them for advice. For example, if you hear something that's questionable to you, because a lot of these, like you could say, corruptible people that are on a day that's different from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated in His book, or the Prophet ﷺ has taught us in clear manners, you can find, like, it doesn't sit well in the heart of the believer. Like if you hear someone disparaging our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, and she was the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, and one of his most beloved wives, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's something that you're going to be like, wait, it doesn't sound right to me, and you go and ask somebody and they'll clarify it, or if they tell you, something, I don't know, like, go stand on your head and do 10 takbirah or something, like weird stuff, like, or go jump up and down and 10,000 times until you pass out by saying such and such, or just something that it just doesn't sit right with you, and alhamdulillah, that's like an indication that maybe you should go and ask and check and verify before you do it. So like, alhamdulillah, the Quran is very clear and the Sunnah is very clear, and we have scholars of the Ummah from the time of the Prophet ﷺ into our time that have taught in a very clear manner. So the more you study and the more you realize, it will be kind of natural for you to distinguish between the right and the wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ فُرْقَانًا. Whoever fears Allah, Allah will give him a furqan, to distinguish between the right and the wrong. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ يُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Fear Allah and Allah will teach you. If you're sincere in your heart and you're truly trying to seek knowledge and please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will protect you and guide you to the right way. That's how a lot of the predecessors, they said, like, one of the greatest ni'mas after Islam is being guided to a good scholar that will show him the right way. So hopefully that was sufficient, inshallah.
The reason why I asked is because you find youth who have been listening to quote unquote scholar, for instance, for some time, and the poison has already affected the heart, and they're out there trying to, have other youth be, involved towards the regret that they were exposed to, and you have others who now are partaking or joining in. But I mean, it's a great thing that you clarified that. If someone was to sincerely seek it, then Allah will make it clear for them.
Yeah. And then also one has to be careful too, like there's permissible differences amongst Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and there's differences that are not permissible. So sometimes you might see the scholars in disagreement, or you might see different opinions. For example, this is not the sense that that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about when it's like contradicting the usul of Iman or usul of Quran or usul of Sunnah, and going against the ways of the pious predecessors and the four Imams, for example, and the scholars of the Ummah from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until now. So if you see like Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, or other scholars differed, for example, in certain things, you won't find they differed in the usul of the deen. They might have differed in the masail. So also like you gotta distinguish like some a brother disagrees with you for how to make salat, for example, or a certain fiqh issue. You don't like, oh, you're off the manhaj, or you're a deviant or something like that. There's allowable differences, and then there's differences that are not allowable. So what we're talking about in terms of corrupting knowledge is those that are contradicting the clear text of the Quran and the Sunnah and the ways of the scholar ijma' of the Ummah.
2 questions, if that's okay.
Inshallah.
The first one is, which book of tafsir, like out of the many, would you recommend that's one like extremely informative yet easy to digest and understand for like a beginner?
I think Ibn Kathir is a good work to start with. There's like smaller tafsirs, so some say it's Tafsir Jalalain, that's like a very like basic explanation of the Quran, and then others after that they go to Tafsir Ibn Kathir or Tafsir Al-Baghawi, and then after that they go to Tafsir Qurtubi, and then Tafsir Tabari, right? But if you just had like one to choose from, there's summarized versions of Ibn Kathir, which are good to start with, or Ibn Kathir itself is a very good book to start with.
And my second question is, what's the difference between wajibat as-salat and arkan as-salat?
So, arkan as-salat is those things, if you miss them, then your salat is invalid. Even sujood as-sahw will not make up for it, right? So, for example, can anybody give me an example of a arkan of salat if you miss it? Takbir al-ihram, the first takbir, right? Or the fatiha, or sujood, or ruku'. If you miss any of these arkan, your salat is invalid. You have to do it over, that rak'ah over, for your salat to be sahih. Al-wajib, if you miss it intentionally, your salat is invalid. However, if you miss it out of forgetfulness, the 2 sujood of forgetfulness makes up for it, right? That's how the scholars distinguish between the rukn and the wajib. And then you have the sunan of the salat too. So it's important to know these because this is something we do, 5 times a day, at least, right? We have to get that right. And also how we mentioned earlier, the shahada, knowing the requirements of the shahada, then the salat, zakat, siyam, and hajj. These are the basics that every Muslim should try their best to learn. Wallahu a'lam. Any more questions or?
So are we gonna complete the lessons after Ramadan, or?
Yeah, inshallah. I hope I'll talk to the brother Muhammad and sister Aisha. Maybe maybe we could try to do it like on a weekly basis, so we could get through the book, inshallah, if it's possible with the scheduling. I would like to do that, inshallah. So yeah, after Ramadan, I'm hoping to travel like soon, inshallah. That's why I have to pause now, but inshallah, as soon as I get back, or after Ramadan, we will continue on this book, inshallah, try to finish it and then start another book. So who memorized the hadith again from last time? ما أنزل الله داء إلا أنزل الله له شفاء. Allah didn't send down a sickness except that He sent with it its cure. right? And then the other one we said, it was an extra credit one, but you can pick it up for this time. Dawa'ul ay as-su'al. The cure or the medicine for ignorance is the question, seeking knowledge, right? And then this time you can memorize the ayat. You guys all know Surah Al-Qadr, I hope, alhamdulillah, for the Quran. And then the ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah if you want. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. This ayat, or the other one, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the Quran is a shifa, if you want, for extra credit. It's in the book that was sent out. Everybody wants to go back and look at it, inshallah. And I wish you all, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us all reach the month of Ramadan and accept it from us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us that which will benefit us and benefit us with that which He has taught us. Allahumma alimna bima yanfa'una وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم بلغنا شهر رمضان وتقبل منا يا أرحم الراحمين. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا الغفور الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.